All right, what's up, guys? So we're back for what is the sixth episode now? The sixth episode of the live stream, the Will Foxification podcast. So that's very exciting stuff. Very exciting stuff indeed. So we got a bunch of different things that I want to talk about tonight. So the first thing I want to talk about is Black Panther, and I'll go into Infinity War a little bit. Just what I hope Infinity War has, what I'm looking for, pretty much what I'm expecting out of it. In other words. Second, we're going to go to Wreck-It Ralph 2. There was a Wreck-It Ralph 2 trailer that dropped, I think, earlier today. They've been kind of hinting at it, showing little tidbits here and there, off and on. And today, a full trailer actually dropped, so I definitely wanted to get into that. There's a documentary I watched called Unacknowledged on Netflix, which I would really recommend. If you're into UFO, mystery kind of stuff, it's a really good one if you like that. And finally, La La Land, plus other things. You guys saw I put out that La La Land video essay, so there's lots to talk about with that movie. And that was really just talking about the relationship and the romance itself. But there's so much to talk about with it, and there's just almost too much to talk about with it. It's become one of my favorite movies for sure, and maybe the favorite if we're gonna have to discuss that. But the first things first, as you can see on the left side of the screen, you can see this chat here. That should be the chat that you guys are interacting with. I'm gonna keep monitoring it, and if it's not, then I'm gonna change it. I'm gonna change it and make sure that it actually comes with the chat that's actually going tonight, because the point of it is when you guys, if you want to go back and watch the stream, if you missed something or you just missed it because you weren't able to attend the time or whatever, you can go back and see the chat live where I'm answering comments, and it'll show up on screen. Because if you go watch the live stream like at another time, the chat doesn't show up, which sucks. So that's just kind of how it works. But yeah, honestly, yeah, this should work a lot better, honestly. But let's start off with Black Panther. So I think I'm gonna do a Black Panther spoiler review, because I'm maybe a little bit late on it for some people, but that is a movie that I think I probably should do a spoiler review for. I don't do a ton of spoiler reviews, you guys know that by now. A lot of times it's because I don't necessarily have the time to do them, because there's so many movies I want to review and so much other stuff I have going on and video essays that I want to get to. So it's a little bit tricky to kind of, do spoiler reviews that you guys might not necessarily care about. Most of the time you just kind of want to know, should I see this movie? Should I not see this movie? You don't really need me to explain too much about it besides that, and just kind of the little details. We're not going to the finer stuff. But with the more Marvel and superhero stuff and Star Wars and the bigger releases, those bigger box office releases, I think people kind of like those more in-depth discussions. So I'll probably try to do more spoiler reviews like I will with Black Panther. Infinity War, I'll probably do one. Most of the time it's just me kind of talking in front of a camera. I think the Star Wars Last Jedi one was like 42 minutes long, so it was quite a long time to talk about a movie. But that like I said, it's for like the more hardcore fans that really want to dive deep into the content of the film itself, and that's kind of where it's a little bit tricky. Because you're appealing to a certain audience, I guess, certain demographic of you guys on this channel. But that's something that they're fun doing, because it's really just a conversation. Well, conversation I'm having with you guys is kind of what it's mimicking or imitating. But yeah, so let me just talk a little bit more about Black Panther. So I saw Black Panther again today. My thoughts on Black Panther, I still feel the same way about it now that I did the first time. There's really not that much that's changed, honestly. I think I probably felt, I saw it with my brother, and we both agree. I felt this the first time. I think I might have said it in my review. If not, I probably should have. That Kill Monger is not in it quite enough, but I do understand why that is, and maybe that's why I didn't mention it. Because the reason he's not necessarily in it is because the movie is already like 2 hours, 17 minutes long or something. So it's quite a long movie as is, especially for a Marvel movie that's not Avengers, And it's because they have this whole world to set up, this whole new character and this hero to set up, all these other great supporting characters to set up. And Killmonger's like the villain, but you have Ulysses Claw and other stuff going on. And just a lot happening in one movie. You have to, build this world of Wakanda from scratch that we really haven't seen anything of, besides a post-credit scene and Civil War. This is a whole new world basically to us. So there's not a ton of time to really spend with Killmonger and his past, because the focus is Black Panther, obviously. And that's, where our focus is and kind of what we're directing and, gearing up towards. Because Black Panther, is our hero, and he's the one that's going to have the longevity in these movies. So we need to make sure that Black Panther is the one that really gets the most development. And of course his family members, who are all very important supporting characters. You have all the tribes. You just have a lot going on. So I understand why Killmonger didn't get a ton of screen time, but despite how great he was. And I'm assuming most of you have seen it by now, but if not, quick spoiler alert. So 3, 2, 1, I'm going to talk about a couple spoilers. The death of Killmonger is a little bit tricky, because it sucks. It totally makes sense for this story, and I get that's what they were going for, but I really wish I had seen more of him. I don't know, maybe Michael B. Jordan only had a one movie contract, I'm not entirely sure, but he was such a good villain that I really wanted to see him come back, maybe have a redemption arc, sort of change his approach and methodology and way of thought, and just, kind of have like a redemption story villain, kind of like what Loki has, even though Loki's not fully redeemed. But I really liked him overall, and it's something that's definitely a little bit disappointing for sure. But we got a first comment. So Big Boy said Killmonger was corny as hell, dude. That's crazy. You're the first person I've heard say that, but not for me. Yeah, not for me. I loved Killmonger. I think he's one of my favorite Marvel villains. He's definitely not Loki. Loki's definitely better because Loki has more development. Loki's been developed for like 4 movies. But Killmonger was still pretty great for me because I feel like a sympathetic villain to me for at least parts of it. He definitely changes and grows and evolves. And there's other parts later where he's not so sympathetic when he tries to do other things. But in the beginning, he definitely is because they build him up as this sort of, he's kind of like Loki in that way. This sort of orphan to an extent with a lot to prove. Felt like he's kind of had a rough go, kind of had a raw deal in life. And that's kind of why, generally speaking, he is a sympathetic villain in that way. And there are other times, like I said, later in the film where he's not. He's not that. He goes kind of crazy and does some really bad things. And that's where you kind of, lose that sympathetic factor as a villain. And that's what makes him a villain. That's what makes him a villain. He starts doing bad things. He may think they're for good reasons generally, but he starts doing bad things. And I've talked about this before. Besides a few select villains like the Joker, almost every villain thinks that they're doing the right thing. Like most of the time, they're not just necessarily being evil to be evil. Most of the time, they think they're doing the right thing. It's just to the general audience, they're not. Either because we're already positioned to identify with another character, or we have a certain sense of morality that does not align with what the villain is, their sense of morality and what they're trying to achieve. So generally, besides like the Joker, who's just an anarchist and really just wants to cause anarchy, there are a lot of villains who, like I said, generally believe they're doing the right thing. They may be harsh about it, and they may feel like they're just doing what needs to be done, but they do feel like they're doing what they need to do, and that's kind of just something that most villains kind of have. But generally, other things about Black Panther, I thought it was a great movie the first time and the second time. I liked it just as much the second time. What's interesting is I noticed the second time that the first maybe like 15 minutes or so, I didn't quite love as much. I feel like that's definitely probably the weakest part of the film. But after that, everything that leads up to that, when the characters start moving on and outside of Wakanda, after Wakanda has already been set up, and there's the car chase scene and Ulysses Claw and other great elements where the Wakanda citizens actually start interacting with each other, and T'Challa becoming king, that ceremony and rite of passage, so to speak. That's when things really start getting good. In the beginning, it's just kind of like, it's a little bit stumbling out of the gate, but it's not bad by any means. But in terms of the quality of the rest of the film, the quality just continually elevates and elevates and elevates. And the beginning of the film starts off like a little bumpy, I would say. But generally speaking, yeah, Black Panther is an excellent film. It's considering Marvel, I was telling my brother, it's really difficult now to start ranking Marvel movies because there's been like 17 or 18 of them now, and they're all really good for the most part. I mean, there's definitely some that are weaker than others for sure. I mean, Thor 3 for me, Thor 2, Iron Man 3, Iron Man 2, depending upon who you ask. There's definitely ones that are obviously weaker than some of the best ones, like Iron Man 1 or Avengers or Black Panther or Captain America Civil War or Winter Soldier. But there's so many good movies like Guardians 1 and 2. I mean, there's so many good Marvel movies to choose from that it's really like splitting hairs at this point, because especially in the top tier, I would say the top tier is probably, in no particular order, Avengers, Civil War, Winter Soldier, Black Panther, Iron Man, Guardians 1. Yeah, that's probably the top tier right there, I would say. For me, at least. That's definitely what I perceive and what I believe to be the top tier. And that's definitely going to be different depending on who you ask. A lot of people love Homecoming. A lot of people think Homecoming's the best. I didn't really, Homecoming's all right. I think I gave it like a 7.5. It's okay for me, but it's not one that I necessarily like am in love with. Same with Thor Ragnarok. I gave Thor Ragnarok an 8. It's really like a fun movie, but when I ponder and think about it after I leave the theater, Thor Ragnarok is not one that really stuck with me, because it doesn't necessarily make sense for the characters and how they just drastically change into goofballs. It fit the tone of the movie, but it's not consistent with what we know about the characters, building up to that point in the MCU thus far. That's kind of my problem with it. And the fact that it doesn't really take much seriously, doesn't have much depth to it. It's just, laughing and funny and just general fun. And it's a fun movie, but a lot of the Marvel movies have that and then some. They have the drama stuff too, which Black Panther has. Black Panther has a story about a guy coming to grips with becoming king and losing his father, and a lot of other great things about him possibly getting married, him trying to find his identity, and what he believes is a king and how he's going to rule Wakanda. There's a lot of different elements here that are very dramatic and it's very much a hero introduction story. Those kind of things. An origin story. That's the phrase I'm looking for. An origin story, and that's what Black Panther is, and it does so really well. And that's why I think, when it boils down to it, Killmonger was, a vital part of the film, no doubt. But, you have so much to set up here and so much to establish with Black Panther, who's going to be in movies to come, that's where the focus needs to be. And you have to surround him with other characters who are lively and good and exciting as well. And at the same time, establish Wakanda and all the other stuff going on at the time. So it's a little bit tricky to have too much of Killmonger, and I get why he's only in it, as much as he is. But generally, yeah, Black Panther is excellent. I thought the visuals were really good, just as much as second time. I still noticed there's a way they cut the film during action scenes. You guys know in action scenes, a lot of times to cover up stunt work that isn't super realistic, they aren't really hitting each other very hard. What you'll notice is right when they hit each other, they'll cut to a new shot. So right when they make impact on somebody, they'll cut to a new frame or cut to a new shot, because that's sort of a way of not showing you the actual full-blown hit that they're doing, because they're not really following through on it, right? So that's what I noticed, and Black Panther does that. And especially in the beginning scene where they're in the forest and they take on those soldiers or whoever they were, and it's very dark and hard to really tell what's going on. And a lot of times there's these fast cuts, so it's really, really difficult to really difficult to entirely tell what's happening in those moments. So that's what's tricky about it. But other than that, the other fight scenes were really good. I've heard people complain about the CG. I don't necessarily mind them. You can definitely tell it's CG. When Black Panther and Killmonger are falling and they're fighting each other, you can definitely tell it's CG. It's it's not obviously them behind a green screen or anything. So that's just kind of what it is. Every time Black Panther does something pretty crazy, you can tell it's mostly CG. In Civil War, when he flies up and spin kicks Cap in the shield, you can tell. It's CG. So it's just really part of the character, because he does things that, can't quite be filmed so easily, because he's just, superhuman and he does crazy stuff. He's not necessarily as grounded as Cap is. Cap does some crazy stuff that needs CG, of course, but Black Panther does spinning kicks and just crazy stuff that Chadwick Boseman, and he can only do so much. So that's just kind of part of it. And the CG looks probably as good as it could, I would say. Definitely looks better than Superman's mustache. I'll say that for sure. I know it's a low blow, but I'm not on the train of I hate DC movies. I don't hate DC movies. I think Wonder Woman was a hit, and for good reason. I like Wonder Woman a lot. But generally speaking, yeah, DC is kind of struggled out of the gate with their 5 films now, and 4 of them have been very mediocre or bad. And Wonder Woman was really good, and hopefully we get more like Wonder Woman, but we really don't know for sure what we're gonna get with that. But I'm kind of straying off topic. So Black Panther, I thought the ending was great, very emotional. There were some very emotional scenes in this movie. The second time I have more admiration for M'Baku. M'Baku was a character that I love him so much. I really want him to be in Infinity War, because he's funny, he's intimidating, he's just a great, extremely well-acted character. And I really want to see more of M'Baku, because he was sick. And I was just pointing out too, the cast in Black Panther is so good. This cast is loaded. You have Daniel Kaluuya, Lupita Nyong'o, Danai Gurira, whose name I'm never sure I'm pronouncing correctly. She's fantastic. I love her character in this. I like her more in this movie than I like her as Michonne, and that's saying something. Obviously Chadwick Boseman, Michael B. Jordan, Forrest Whitaker, Ulysses Claw, who's actor Andy Serkis. Dude, the cast is amazing. It's so good. And Ryan Coogler now directing 2 great films. He's definitely got a bright future ahead of him, because Creed is one of my favorite sports movies and probably one of my favorite top 30 movies. And he's done 2 excellent movies now, and he is well on his way to becoming a star director. Because if he does the rest of his movies like the first 2, he's definitely got a bright future ahead of him. So I'm looking forward to see what he does next too. But yes, if you have not seen Black Panther already, hopefully you didn't listen to the spoilers I just gave you. But I will do a spoiler review sometime soon, maybe tomorrow. I'm not sure yet. But yeah, Black Panther is just as good the second time. Probably, I have to think about it. Maybe 5 or 6 as I would rank it right now. I think I put it at 5 on my list and my actual review in the comments section. I'll have to go back and look at that. But it's 5 or 6, somewhere in there, because Avengers to me is the clear 1. Civil War is number 2. Guardians 1 is number 3, I would say. Number 4, I'd have to look. I know number 5 is Black Panther, and number 6 is Iron Man. Number 4, I'm forgetting. Honestly, I'm forgetting, but I like Thor 1 a lot. Thor 1 would probably be in my top 7 or so. But I like Thor 1 more than most people, and just because I love Loki so much. And I feel like that movie really has that brothers quarrel and really has a lot of drama and like substance to it. It's like a kind of a Shakespearean kind of deal, and that's what I like about it. That's what I like about it a lot. So yeah, Thor 1 is one of my favorites for sure. But now that we covered Black Panther, let me discuss Infinity War a little bit. So Infinity War was interesting because when I originally saw Black Panther on premiere night, they showed a trailer for Infinity War last before the movie started. And today when I went, they didn't show a trailer for Infinity War, which was interesting. Maybe because they only did it maybe premiere night or maybe the first weekend or first week or something. But there was no Infinity War trailer, which is interesting. But it did get me thinking about Infinity War coming up. What was early May, like May 5th or somewhere around there? There's a lot to do in that movie. Because it is literally like Tony Stark says in the Super Bowl ad, he's like, everything has been leading to this. Literally, 10 years has been leading to these 2 films, right? And we have no idea really what's going to happen here. Like, who's going to survive? Who's going to make it through all this? We really don't know. We really don't know at all. I mean, and I'm kind of worried because there's so many characters and so much going on that hopefully that doesn't, like, take away from the quality of the film. I don't think it will, because there's so much backstory and so much history to all these characters that we're so invested in all of them that it really should be pretty exciting and unique and different compared to what we're used to. Because anytime we see like a crossover between characters, like Doctor Strange will appear in Thor or something, or Iron Man will appear in Spider-Man, that's always exciting because you're like, I know this character, I like this character. That's like when one of your friends shows up to another event between another group of friends and you're like, oh, what's up, dude? This is my other friend. You know, it's that kind of deal. That's what it feels like. It feels like we know these characters because we spent so much time with them. And that's what's crazy about it. But what I'm really worried about here is Loki, because if you watch the trailers and if you saw the end of Thor Ragnarok, you saw at the post-credit scene where Thanos' ship shows up above the Asgardian ship, right? And that's where it gets a little tricky, because I'm pretty sure that's where Infinity War is going to pick up. And that's where it's going to start, and start badly. Because you saw in the one trailer where Thor ends up on the Guardian ship. He crashes into their windshield on that one trailer. And the Guardians pick him up, right? So what I'm thinking happens here, I have no insight into this. This is just my thought process. What happens here, excuse me, and you saw the one shot where Loki's holding the Tesseract, right? That's obviously for Thanos, right? He's holding the Tesseract, which he took in Thor Ragnarok, which he snuck and took out. And he's holding up for Thanos because Thanos destroys their ship, right? You see the dead bodies that Loki's walking over in the trailer, right? So Thanos comes, says, hey, Thor gets shot off. Hulk flies to Earth, right? Hulk ends up in Earth somehow. I don't know. And Thor flies off into space, right? Thanos destroys the ship. Loki's still on it. And Loki has a Tesseract saying, here, take this. Please don't kill me, right? And then he gives it to him. And I'm wondering if in that moment, that's our first shocking moment of the movie where Thanos kills Loki. He takes the Tesseract and says, thanks, and kills him, right? That's what I'm wondering is that going to happen? Because we don't see Loki in the other shots from the trailer, right? So maybe they just don't want to give too much away, but I'm a little worried because Loki is my favorite character in the MCU, and I know Tom Hiddleston's going to be done with it soon. I mean, he's not long for the MCU anyway. So I wouldn't be surprised, honestly, or shocked if he died. But that would be a crazy start to the movie to have Loki killed. That would just be a crazy start that would really get people like, whoa, this movie is serious. This movie is going to be dark, and it's going to be intense, right? And that's what could happen. And that's why Thor flies off. The ship's destroyed. Thor flies off into space. Guardians find him. And Loki gets killed. And the Asgardian ship, everyone on the Asgardian ship dies. Even Heimdall. except Hawk. Hawk flies off into Earth somehow. But yeah, that's what could happen. That's how the movie's going to start, I believe. That's how I think it's going to start. It's going to be crazy, and it's going to be dark, and it's going to set the tone for the movie. And that's just my line of thinking. I don't know whether that's going to happen. Like I said, I have no insight into it. Just a theory with no backing. But generally, Infinity War, I'm super hyped for it. I'm considering going dressed as Loki because I went to the Star Wars Last Jedi premiere dressed as Kylo Ren, and people really enjoyed it. It was hot as hell in that costume in the theater. But I might go dressed as Loki with my wig and everything. I think that would be kind of fun. That'd be kind of cool. I think people would like it, honestly. But yeah, and I have like a little Tesseract cube. I could show it to you guys. It like lights up and everything. It's pretty cool. But yeah, I might go dressed as Loki. Just, a little fun. It'll probably be hot, and it'll be hot in any costume you go in. But yeah. But for Infinity War, yeah, I'm really, really excited for it. But I'm just anxious for it, honestly, because I've been waiting for this movie for forever. I think Thanos is going to be an excellent villain, maybe one of the best Marvel has ever offered. And I think, we've been building up this big baddie for such a long time, and building up the whole universe to these moments. And really what it boils down to is, like, what's going to happen after the dust is settled, right? When the Avengers win, and they're going to win, how many people are going to die? Like, how many Avengers are going to die? Is Cap going to die? Is Iron Man going to die? Is Loki going to die? Like, Thor's going to move on at some point, right? Like, how are we going to reboot this with the characters we have and then sort of have maybe, like, new fill-in characters, right? Because I'm thinking maybe Bucky becomes the new Captain America. That's kind of what they've hinted at. In Winter Soldier, you saw that scene where he's in the street with the shield, right? I mean, that could happen. It happens in the comics. That could totally happen. And I honestly think Chris Evans probably wants to move on at some point soon. So same with Chris Hemsworth, and same with Robert Downey at some point. I would think, maybe Robert Downey might stick around a little bit longer, but I don't know if there's any other Iron Man movie coming anytime soon. So, I mean, and you have Captain Marvel who's coming in. You still have so many characters, right? And you probably got to thin the herd a little bit. It's thin the pack at some point. So it's got to happen. So we'll kind of see how that goes. But yeah, let's go ahead and discuss Wreck-It Ralph 2. So I mentioned Wreck-It Ralph earlier. So I have the Blu-ray, actually. I should have brought it out here as a little prop to show you guys. I love the first Wreck-It Ralph. The first Wreck-It Ralph film came out a couple years back now, and I loved it. I thought it was great. It's definitely one of those films that if you enjoy video games, I think you'll enjoy it a lot more than if you didn't, because there's so many references that you'll catch along the way that'll just make your experience, like, it's sort of like a tongue-in-cheek kind of deal. That'll just make your experience a little bit better. And that helps the movie for sure. But it is definitely a good enough movie to stand on its own. It definitely is a good enough movie to stand on its own and impress you just as an animated feature film without really picking up too much on the video game stuff. You know what I mean? You don't necessarily need to pick up too much on that stuff to make sure that you actually, enjoy the film. There's definitely tons to be enjoyed with Wreck-It Ralph because John C. Reilly voices the character excellently, has a lot of emotion to it, as a character who transforms and changes in some way because he grows and becomes attached to someone where before he was just an angry person who hated everybody and everyone hated him, but at the end it's not the case. But the second trailer, in the first movie, basically, they're in video games, right? They go in video games, they have to fight bosses, and it's sort of structured like a video game, in a movie, basically. It's all built on video games. Well, this time, they're going through the internet, and they're going through the internet to do God knows what, but really, it's going to be more of the same, and honestly, when I watched the trailer, there's a lot of cool visuals with it, because Wreck-It Ralph, the first one, had a ton of great visuals, just really video game-ish, great animation, and it looked really cool. In this new one, it looks really, really, what would I say? Creative. Creative would be the word I would use for it. Wreck-It Ralph looks like it's going to be awesome just because it was funny. Like, I watched the trailer and I genuinely chuckled. Like, I genuinely laughed at it, right? I was like laughing. And animated films are tough to do that for me because animated films are mostly kid humor, right? But Wreck-It Ralph has that, but it also has other stuff too that can appeal to basically anyone, especially adults, right? So that's why, generally speaking, yeah, I think Wreck-It Ralph is going to be, one of the best animated films of this year, easy, because if it's anything like the first one, which I'm pretty sure it will be, then I'm pretty confident that it will be great. It will be one of my favorite anime movies, because Wreck-It Ralph, the first one, is one of my favorite animated movies. Definitely in the top 10, for sure. Definitely in the top 10. And it's interesting, though, because like, my mom watched it, actually, and she doesn't necessarily love animated movies to begin with, but she said she didn't really like it. She couldn't get into it because it's too video game-ish, and she didn't like the video game stuff because she didn't really understand it. And I thought that was interesting because I didn't really feel like you needed to. I didn't really feel like you needed to for sure. But I don't know how that works, honestly. But Harry said, nope, The Incredibles 2. Dude, The Incredibles 2 is going to be excellent. We know The Incredibles 2 is going to be excellent. Incredibles 2 is just going to be awesome. It's going to be awesome. The first Incredibles, I think I did it via request. It might have been you, Harry, who requested it. I can't remember exactly. But it was, dude, I loved it. I loved it. It was so good. And that was actually the first time I'd seen it. I had not seen it before. But we got 3 Cars movies before a second Incredibles movie. Dude, come on. So Big Boy said you watched that little girl get traumatized by seeing in-game rabbit. Yes. Dude, that rabbit scene, that was a scene I was talking about that made me laugh. Dude, it was so ridiculous. But it's like, it's just so clever, right? Wreck-It Ralph takes those video game tropes and just makes them funny and takes it to the extreme, right? And that's funny to adults. Like, it's funny to adults and it's funny to kids. So that's the sign of a great animated movie. I've always discussed how great animated movies offer something for everyone. They're not simply kid flicks. They're not an adult animated movie. They got something for both. They got something for everybody. That's Toy Story, How to Train Your Dragon, The Incredibles, Wreck-It Ralph, Coco, dude, Frozen even. Like, they got something for everybody. That's what the great ones have. Not the good ones, the great ones. But Wreck-It Ralph 2 looks awesome. I'm super hyped for it. It comes out in the summer, I believe, and it's going to be let me check. But yeah, it's going to be excellent, honestly. November 21st. So that's actually past the summer. So fall. It's going to be excellent though, I'm pretty sure. Sausage Party. Sausage Party is not a great animated film to me. That offers one very specific thing. And that's very much the exception to the rule, even if it did turn out great, that is the exception, because Sausage Party is not by any means your typical animated film. And we might not see a film like that again for quite some time. Not because it wasn't successful, because it's so bold and so daring and so risk-taking, with ethnic tropes and cultural tropes and, mocking those stereotypes and stuff, that it's very risky nowadays in today's market. So it's definitely one that I think you'll see studios be hesitant to make again. But we'll kind of see how that turns out. Let me put this up closer. Okay. So Unacknowledged. So this is a documentary that I wanted to tell you guys about. That's actually pretty interesting. So my mom works as a nurse, right? She works as a nurse, and she has a friend who works with her, right? Who's also a nurse. I think she's a nurse anyway. But she recommended that we all watch this documentary called Unacknowledged. There's a documentary called Unacknowledged on Netflix that I went ahead and watched. And the reason I watched is because she explained that it's about UFOs. It's about the military-industrial complex. It's about government secrecy and secret societies, those kind of things. Not necessarily like Illuminati, but kind of around those same general terms. This is a documentary I really enjoyed because it's certainly full of conspiracy theories, I guess you could say, but they're all very interesting and they're all very well conceived. There's a lot of interviews from people who worked in the CIA and other armed forces areas that, give basis to these claims, talking about UFOs, different kind of sightings, how legitimate the claims are, how these things are kind of hidden in plain sight, and how anyone who sort of speaks out is either called crazy and called a lunatic or disappears. And that's always interesting. And there's a lot of interesting arguments to be found here. I'm sure there are probably some flaws if you dug too deep into them. But in terms of pure entertainment, and sure, I like that mystery stuff. I love alien stuff, dude. I love UFOs and aliens and ghosts. That kind of stuff really interests me. I'm not so much into like the murder mystery stuff, like those murder shows where it's like who done it, those kind of deals. It's funny, my mom loves those shows, and I know a lot of other women who love those shows, and I think I know some guys who love those shows too. But I've never really been into that stuff. Doesn't really interest me. I like the more paranormal, UFO kind of stuff. I like aliens, like I said, ghosts, those kind of things. But particularly aliens. I'm big for. I'm big for aliens. I love UFO stuff. It's so cool to me. I love it. It's interesting. To me, I probably sound like a conspiracy theorist, but to me, UFOs have definitely been here, and I feel like they're probably still here, and we just don't know about it. No one's telling us about it. That's just my opinion. I have no basis for that. I've never seen a UFO. I did see some crazy lights the other night. My mom and I were actually at her house the other night, and I saw some crazy lights there, and there were like these weird blinking lights all over the place in the sky, and it was weird. We've never seen anything like it. We were totally freaked out by it. I should have recorded it actually, but I don't know if it was a UFO, but it wasn't. I don't know. It was definitely unusual. I've never seen anything like it. But it was definitely. I love that kind of UFO stuff. But I can't say I haven't been abducted that I know of, so I haven't been probed, not that I know of. But yeah, I love that alien stuff. So Harry said Saturday morning cartoon Sausage Party. Dude, that would be the most hilarious thing. Like if somehow Sausage Party made it on Saturday morning, like Cartoon Network by accident. Like someone as a troll, like who was quitting their job at Cartoon Network, just put it on for the kids. That would be hilarious. That would be like the best troll ever. You would never get another job ever, but you would be a hero. You would be you'd be infamous, but it would be an interesting way to go out. That's for sure. But generally speaking, yeah, Sausage Party is an alright movie. I know a lot of people love it. For me, I think I gave it like a 7.5 or a 7. Like it gets funnier in the second half, I think. But it didn't wow me. It's okay. It's not one that I would like recommend you rush out and go buy on Blu-ray or watch on. I think it's on Prime or something, or Netflix. I think it's on Netflix. I wouldn't recommend like you rush out and see it, but it wouldn't disappoint you. That's kind of how I feel about it. So, talked about Unacknowledged. If you want to watch Unacknowledged, that's on Netflix. I would recommend it if you're into that mysterious kind of stuff. It's interesting. It's not super well, like, the production quality is not amazing. Like, some of the cinematography and just the lighting and stuff isn't great. But it's really more about the content than it is the production value, and that's really what I found the most value in. So, just the themes and the content itself and the mystery of it all, and the arguments are compelling. And it's narrated by Giancarlo Esposito, who plays Gus on Breaking Bad, who was probably my favorite character in Breaking Bad. He was amazing. He should have won an Emmy for it. But he narrates exceptionally well. And he was in Jungle Book, actually, too. He was the leader of the wolves of the pack. And I forget his name. I forget his character's name, actually. But either way, I love Jungle Book. Maybe I'll do a video on that at some point. So La La Land. So I want to talk more about La La Land because you guys saw my La La Land video now, right? So... and if you haven't, go watch that. That's on the channel now. I did a video essay about how it's a beautiful tragedy. That's how I described it. And I describe it that way because the romance itself is a tragedy, but the characters themselves, it's beautiful where they end up and how they do it. And the process of it all is beautiful. Like the whole process of how they actually achieve their goals and achieve their dreams is beautifully tragic in a way, because it's sad even talking about it, because they're there for each other exactly when they need to be at the exactly right time to push them that one little bit further to achieve just what their goals are, because they push them that 1 inch further that they always need, that little push extra to just get over that hump to achieve their goal, right? And it's funny when I thought about this, because kind of no romance obviously, but kind of what Whiplash is, right? And Whiplash, Miles Teller's character is a really great drummer. He's very good, but he's not great yet, right? And he doesn't get great until J.K. Simmons' character comes along. And he thinks that it's this terrible thing and it's this awful thing, but it's like this very dysfunctional way that he motivates him and makes him great. Like they need each other. Like he found his Charlie Parker, right? He found his Bird because he found this guy who's willing to take this abuse and get better from it and improve from it. And it's like a really terrible way to motivate someone, but it's effective in this particular situation in this movie. And they need each other in that way. So it's beautifully tragic in that way too. It's beautiful because they both kind of achieve what their goals are, but it's tragic because the way they do it is so dysfunctional and so awful and tough to watch. It's like different but similar to La La Land. La La Land is like beautiful to watch their romance along the way and how it buds and grows and evolves and change, and how they do the same and achieve their goals in the process. But in the end, they don't end up together because they're split in different directions. And the decisions they make along the way, I mean, a couple decisions could have changed things, kind of like what they show you in the end. Like a couple little incidents could have changed things along the way, a number of different ways. But generally speaking, they're not going to end up together because they're going in different directions. At that point in time, they were in the same direction. They were struggling artists with nowhere to go but up necessarily, right? So they were struggling artists, they were going in the same direction. But when they actually start to achieve their goals, they diverge. It's like a road that sort of comes together at one point and then splits, right? That's what happens in La La Land. And that's what I thought was cool about it. And it's something I noticed the first time, but on second watch, I just analyzed it a little bit further and really like honed in on that. And that's really what I noticed and what I saw. And it's like interesting to think about it that way. because the whole movie, it's like this fantastical, classic, traditional romance story. Like, things are starting off so beautiful. They're in love. Everything's great, right? And then it goes bad for a little bit. And then it's going to get better again. And they're going to end up happily ever after. But it doesn't end that way because it's not that kind of story. It kind of masquerades as that kind of story. But in the end, it's something different. It's about dreamers who achieve their goals but have to sacrifice to do it. It's two individual dreamers that achieve their goals and sacrifice their relationship with each other to go in different directions. And that's what's interesting about it. And that's why this film hit deeper for me than a more traditional ending and traditional film might have, because it's different. Right? It's different. It's more realistic. It's more true. It shows that life can pull you in different directions and not everything is going to work out. And to get what you want, you're not going to get everything you want, right? You're going to have to sacrifice some things to get what you want. It just works that way. You know, you're not going to be able to do everything you want and, you know, be with the person you love and have all the time to do this other stuff. It doesn't work that way, right? You can't have everything. You got to make sacrifices. And that's what's interesting. Like, they love each other so much and they can acknowledge that, and especially in the end they do. But in the end, they smile at each other because they know it's like a bittersweet moment. Like, they're sad to see each other go, and they always love each other. But at the end, they know that they were vital to each other's success. Without each other, they would not be where they are. You know, they would not have succeeded and achieved their goals that they always wanted to achieve. And they did it because of each other, which is crazy. And just a really, really cool idea. And only Damien Chazelle could do that so well. I mean, the actors were fantastic in it, but Damien Chazelle, dude, he's amazing. Like, I can't wait to see his Neil Armstrong movie because I have no idea which direction he's going to go with it, with Ryan Gosling as Neil Armstrong. I really don't know much about it, to be honest, but based off his first two movies, if it's anything like those two, it's going to be amazing. So he could be a perennial Best Director nominee. He already won it last year. So, I mean, he could be a Best Director nominee, no problem. And speaking of that, one thing we should probably discuss as well is the Oscar predictions. I'm going to do those. Oscars are coming up. They're this weekend, right? So I'll probably do a live stream. Well, I'm going to live stream during the Oscars. So I'll probably do a live stream prediction video sometime before then, maybe the day before. But I'm going to do a live stream during the Oscars. So if you guys want to tune in and watch the Oscars with me, then feel free. I would love to have you. And we can just discuss whatever. I'm not going to put the Oscars on screen with me because I don't want copyright strikes. I don't want my channel taken down. And I'm just not going to do that. But I will sort of talk along with you guys and commentate and answer questions and those kind of things. And then kind of go from there. Harry asked me, is that on IMDb? I don't know. Let me check. Yeah, it's called First Man. It's a 28 set for 2018 release. It says July. No. I don't know. It says it's still shooting, actually, so I don't know. But yeah, I don't know. It's supposed to be coming out sometime soon. I was thinking maybe 2019. I'm not exactly sure. But yeah, it's gonna be good. I don't know. Damien Chazelle has not really done that kind of movie. I mean, he's done 2 musical movies, so not really sure what he's gonna do with this kind of movie. But I have no doubts it'll be great if it's him. Especially with Ryan Gosling back in a leading role for him, so it'll be fantastic. But yeah, as for the Oscar predictions, yes, I am going to do Oscar predictions. I'm going to think about what my predictions are going to be. Last year, I think I missed 2, but I really missed one because La La Land won and then didn't win. So before La La Land, I forget the only one I got wrong. I got one prediction wrong, and I knew I was going to get it wrong. When I predicted it and made it, I was like, and I put the video out. After I put the video out, I was like, I should have picked this one. And it was that one that won. I was like, I knew was going to get that wrong. I knew I was going to get that one wrong. I forget what it was, though. But the other, I did 13 or 14 predictions, and I got 12 of them right. And and then when La La Land won, I was actually at my mom's house because I don't have cable. So I was watching it, and I was like, okay, I'm gonna watch this. And then I was like, I'll watch it till the end. And then they were like, okay, the winner is La La Land. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna turn it off and then drive back home, right? And I drove home, and then I had people messaging me like, Moonlight won. And I'm like, Moonlight won? I was like, I just watched La La Land win. And then I saw the Twitter video of how it became this whole debacle, and I was like, whoa. I was pissed though because I was 12 of 13 at that point. I ended up 11 of 13 or whatever because I got 2 wrong because I picked La La Land to win Best Picture and Moonlight won. which I honestly have no problem with Moonlight winning Best Picture. I loved Moonlight. I thought it was fantastic. I like La La Land more, but I have no problem with Moonlight winning, honestly, because they're both great films. I mean, like it's really neck and neck. I mean, a lot of people like Moonlight a lot more, right? I like La La Land more. But Moonlight was amazing. And Harry said you should do a review of Drive. Dude, I did one. I did it a while back. It's under the request playlist. I might be able to link it to you. But I did one a while back. It was a while. I think I gave it a 10, honestly. It was like a 9 or a 10, somewhere in there. But yeah, I really loved it. I actually never heard of it before I did the request. I forget who requested it. I'm not exactly sure. But it was really good. And it was one that I actually, like I said, never heard of. So I'm still working on that top 10 request thing. But like I said, I'm going to do it when I get to 75 total requests. I think we're at 62. So we still got a little ways to go. And we'll kind of figure that out as we go. But I've got the list set for now. But with 13 requests still to go, that list could drastically change at any time. So, yeah, we'll see. Yeah, the music in Drive is sick. I like the movie as a whole a lot. I like Bryan Cranston and Ryan Gosling both in it. That's the kind of role I think Ryan Gosling fits. It's weird because I didn't feel like he fit the role in Blade Runner 2049 that well. I didn't really buy him as this box office like action sci-fi guy. But in Drive, I totally bought him because he's a different kind of role. Felt like it fit him more. Just felt like a more fitting role for Ryan Gosling. But Blade Runner, yeah, the role for Blade Runner, it didn't work for me for him for that role. Maybe that was one of my problems with the movie. It was one of them, but I don't know who else it could have been. Maybe for me, I put Tom Hardy in every role, dude. Anytime I'm like, who could be in that role? I'm like, Tom Hardy could be in that role because Tom Hardy could play anything. Tom Hardy could play any role, play it extremely well. He's amazing. I mean, his work in Locke is one of my favorite acting performances ever. I mean, he legitimately carries that movie. Like it's him talking in a car, and he's just fantastic, dude. His range is unreal. That's why I have hope for Venom. Actually, I was talking about that earlier today too. Venom is a movie that I don't think it would be excellent, but with Tom Hardy in it, I'm thinking he can elevate the film to at least very good, or at least good. And with Riz Ahmed as well, I kind of think of that. So Ethan Lindenberg, sorry. What did you think of the Fahrenheit 451 trailer? I have not watched that trailer yet, but I will watch it after this. I've not watched that trailer yet, but I will watch it after that. You have to explain that to me. What is Fahrenheit? I don't think I've watched Fahrenheit 451 yet. Let me research that. Yeah, I haven't watched it. Oh, it's a novel. Okay, interesting. It's based off a novel. Okay. Yeah. I haven't heard of it, but yeah, I'm totally interested in it now that if you say that, I trust your word. I take your word for it. Yeah, I'm sure it's good. But I've not seen the trailer now. I've been watching too many Infinity War trailers and Wreck-It Ralph, and I've been watching Game of Thrones clips. Actually, I'm going to talk to you guys about that. So the video essay that I did on La La Land, I really enjoy doing those. They're definitely more work. You have to put into it more time it takes to make them. But because they're really rewarding to me. I really feel like digging in like that really is cool and really helps it makes me smarter about judging movies because I've like analyzing them a little bit more deeply instead of just, more, at a more superficial level in terms of just recommending a movie to you or not. I try to be as thorough as I can with those, but without going into spoilers, it's a little bit difficult. But I got plenty of ideas for video essays. I want to do one on It, as you can see behind me. I'm sure you guys will love that one. Talking about how It is more than a horror movie, and that's kind of part of what makes it great. And then I want to do one on Gifted. Gifted is a movie that I'm kind of out on an island on that I love. I love Gifted. It was one of my favorite movies, top 10 movie of the year for 2017. I'm like the only one who believes that or thinks that. And I'm going to explain why. And there's some other ones I have as well. I've been watching Dallas Buyers Club again because that's on Netflix. That's probably one of my favorite movies. I want to do one on that. Mostly about Matthew McConaughey's performance in it and how it revived and changed his career pretty dramatically. And he won an Oscar for it. And it's because before that, Matthew McConaughey was not really taken seriously as an actor. Like he was kind of the action guy, but everyone was like, Matthew McConaughey sucks as an actor, right? He's like the Nicolas Cage, like not really respected, right? And then Dallas Buyers Club comes along and we're like, whoa, this guy can really act. Like this guy is a star, right? We underestimate him. And that's, I think, what I want to make a video about and talk about his work in Dallas Buyers Club, which is amazing. It's excellent. One of the best performances I've seen in a while. Or maybe I'll do Heath Ledger in The Joker. Heath Ledger in The Joker, I think, is the best performance I've ever seen in a movie. That's I think legitimately the best performance I've ever seen. I found it to be the most compelling. I found it to be the most layered. I found it to be the best. Yeah. Yeah, so Harry Fraser said, "No, I think I liked him before." Dude, yeah, not me, Lincoln Lawyer. See, I don't think I've seen Lincoln Lawyer, to be honest, but I'm talking about more specifically, like, I think I didn't really respect him as much and others didn't, because like movies like Sahara and How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, I think he's in that, right? That's what I remember him in. Those kind of movies, you know what I mean? Like, that was kind of his MO before he got into Dallas Buyers Club. He did Interstellar, and he's done other movies like Gold and Wolf of Wall Street, where he's just like, yeah, he's got his little, his little things that he does, his mannerisms, but he's still great. But yeah, I don't know. There were some movies, I don't know. Matthew McConaughey, to me, I'm gonna have to look into that, Harry, because you said Contact and some others. But yeah, Matthew McConaughey to me was not considered to be an elite and a respected actor necessarily. He was okay. I thought he was kind of like, people considered him like the Nickelback or the Creed of actors. That was my interpretation of how people felt about him. But now that's not the case at all. And Dallas Buyers Club is a big reason for that. That was the turning point for me, at least, and for others that I've seen. But Ethan said, as some high quality content, I really enjoyed it. Yeah, that dude, I appreciate that. I appreciate the kind words for sure. I really enjoy doing those video essays. If you guys have any other video essays you'd like me to consider or do, I would definitely be open to it. And I would definitely do them. So Big Boy said, have you watched True Detective? Dude, love Season 1, though. I'm sure you agree with me. Season 1 of True Detective is where it's at. Season 2, it's okay. I don't hate Season 2 as much as everyone else, but Season 1 is another level than Season 2. Season 1, it's like Season 1 is here, Season 2 is here, right? That's how that True Detective plays out. I think they might do a Season 3, right? That'd be kind of cool. That'd be really cool, actually. But True Detective is another one. His work in True Detective, dude, outstanding. Right? Excellent. He's awesome in that show, right? And I'm pretty sure that was after Dallas Buyers Club, if I remember correctly. If not, it was pretty close to each other, and those were some turning points. And yeah, but I'd love to do a video about that for sure. So Ethan said Netflix came out with a new horror movie. The Ritual was weird as as AF, but pretty good. Oh, okay, that's cool. Yeah, I'll have to watch that then. Ritual. So you have to explain to me how it's weird. Is it weird in the way that like Audition is weird, or is it weird in the way that let me think of another. Like Saw is weird. You know what I mean? I guess those are kind of the same thing. Or the way that it's weird, and like maybe like Hereditary is going to be kind of weird. You know what I mean? Or It Follows is kind of weird. It Follows is probably one of the scariest movies I've seen recently. Dude, that tall man with the eyes, dude, ridiculous. It's crazy scary to me. I that stuff. Ugh. Yeah, even talking about it, that's one of my favorite horror movies. One of my favorite requests too. But yeah, It Follows is excellent. Okay, so more like It Follows. Got it. Okay, if it's anything like It Follows, I'll enjoy it, because It Follows, dude, I loved it. It's so scary, so interesting, just a really cool concept, and something different than what we've seen before. Like, it's always coming after you, it's always walking. You just kind of have to stay away from it. That's what I really liked about it. Really thought that was cool. But yeah, I'll look into The Ritual. That sounds like a good one. But honestly, yeah, like those video essays are cool. La La Land is great. I tweeted about this, so, and actually I usually stream on Tuesday nights, so if you guys, I posted on Twitter about it, but there's no other way to contact you guys about it. So if you ever go on there and find me on, I think my name's Will W Foxification, that's what I'm on Twitter. But I basically tweeted out that I was going to live stream tonight instead of last night. That's because I was working on this La La Land video, and I was so into it. Like, I had written up the script and everything, and I was so into making this video. Because I'm legitimately wondering, now that I've made this video and watched it again, is La La Land my favorite movie? Like, it's a legitimate, fair question, right? I'm legitimately wondering. I don't think so, but it's definitely up there. It's definitely in the top 3 to 5 for sure. That's for sure. It might be one. It's like inching its way, slowly but surely near the top. Slowly but surely. La La Land is becoming one of my favorite movies, and I've watched it probably 5 or 6 times, and I love it every time. And like, it just, dude, it gets me right in the feels so much. And I hate musicals. I do not like musical films, and I love La La Land because it's just better. It's it's better than a musical film, because it's a musical, but it also knows when to not be a musical. It's not just song and dance numbers the whole movie, right? There's not that many of them. Most of the stuff is sort of fantastical and sort of meant to be kind of what the lovers are feeling like at that moment. That's my interpretation. But the musical elements work really well, but the drama works better. So Ethan said, I'm torn between La La Land and Whiplash. Dude, that is the most, that's like Peyton Manning and Tom Brady at this. Like, you know what I mean? Like, everyone, since it's Damien Chazelle's like big first two films, everyone's like Whiplash or La La Land, right? Aaron Rodgers or Tom Brady. That's like what it's like. And for me, it's La La Land, but I love Whiplash. Whiplash is amazing too. I'd give Whiplash a 10 out of 10 as well. It's an excellent film, one of the best of this last several years for sure. And there's a reason J.K. Simmons won an Oscar for it, and why Damien Chazelle is considered a great director after 2 films, because of those 2 excellent movies he's made. But a lot of people like Whiplash more, and I'm totally good with it. Like I said, the only stuff I'm not good with is if you're like, I like Event Horizon more than Whiplash or La La Land, right? Then I'm like, that's a little too much for me. I mean, everyone's entitled to their opinion, but to me, I'm like, I don't get that, right? But I do get you liking Whiplash more than La La Land. I get you liking, Arrival more than La La Land. I get you liking The Godfather more than La La Land, right? They're all great movies, right? So I don't really have a problem with it. But at that point, it's just subjective in opinion. So for me, it's La La Land. Whiplash is excellent, though. Whiplash is an amazing film. It's excellent. It's great. I need to watch it again, honestly. I really want to watch it again. I watched The Social Network again recently, and I talked to you guys about that, I think in a live stream or 2 ago. Whiplash is another one I need to watch again. Another one I need to get into. Video essays, more of those will be on the way. I really need to start trying to maybe get one of them a week out, but it's tough with the schedule as is, because I got the requests to do and new movies to get to, and it's definitely a lot. And plus my school and my work, it's definitely a lot. So I'm going to try to get to as many of these video essays as I can. I think they're a little more interesting in some ways for you guys, and a little more rewarding for me, even though I love doing the movie reviews too. But the video essays, I can dig a little bit deeper and just get a little more into it and talk about spoilers. And that's where I can sort of, broaden my horizons a little bit. And I think you guys like it too. So that's kind of what's cool about it. But yeah, honestly, I'm looking to do more of those, honestly. But yeah, as we wrap up, we got a couple more minutes here. If you guys have any final questions for me, let me know before we wrap up, so we can, I appreciate everyone hanging out tonight. It's always fun to do these. I'm going to do another one on Sunday as usual, probably around like 10 or so, 10:30, somewhere in there. So be on the lookout for that. 10:30 a.m. Eastern time, by the way. Yeah, Eastern time. So yeah, I'm definitely looking forward to that. So yeah, if you guys have any final questions, let me know before we wrap up, before I sign off here. And let me know if you like this chat feature. I have it up there. The chat it's pretty easy to see, I guess I could say, but that's basically how it's set up. So I have it set up that way because, like I said, if people want to go back and watch this stream later, they can, and that's kind of why I have it set up that way. And it's interesting. It's cool to have a different chat set up, so it's cool. So all right, yeah, it looks like there's no more comments. It looks like then, so I'll give you guys like I guess 1 more minute if you have any other final questions. Other than that, I appreciate it. I probably have a video coming out tomorrow. I'm not sure what it's going to be yet. Probably a request, honestly. I forget I forget what the next request is, but I need to get to it. Big Boy said, why not review the B movie, dude? I don't know if you're joking or not. Let me check. I don't think I've seen the B movie in a long time. It's got a 51%. That's funny. A 6.1 on IMDb. Yeah, I've not seen the B movie in a while. There goes my Google screen. Okay, so let me answer Harry's question first. Best sci-fi series. So it's like TV series? Best sci-fi series. That's a good question. That's a really good question. Because most of the series most sci-fi that I watch are movies, right? There's not many sci-fi series. Like most sci-fi and most great shows that I watch are drama shows. So like Mindhunter and Game of Thrones, that's fantasy, I guess, but it's still drama. And Breaking Bad, Battlestar Galactica. Wow, I'm gonna look that up. Best sci-fi series. See what people say. Doctor Who. Oh, Stranger Things. How did I forget about Stranger Things? Let me see what other sci-fi shows I've watched. Yeah, see, I don't watch a lot of sci-fi shows, to be honest. I love sci-fi, but I feel like with sci-fi, I'm mostly into movies. Yeah. Like Arrival. Arrival, dude. So there's a sci-fi movie for you. Arrival is probably my favorite sci-fi movie, and that includes Star Wars. So Arrival is probably my favorite sci-fi movie ever, and that's saying something. And that's pretty crazy. So Ethan said, most anticipated movie this year. Probably a cop-out answer, but Infinity War, honestly. Like, I know, like, a lot of you guys, if you're bigger into more of the dramas and you're not really into Marvel or superhero Star Wars and stuff, I totally get that. A lot of people, it's just not your thing. Some people don't like it. And for me, Infinity War, I've been waiting for Infinity War for years. I've followed all these characters. I've seen every single Marvel movie multiple times. I love all these characters. I collect items from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. I dress up as Marvel characters. I love Loki especially. Like, Infinity War is the most anticipated movie of the last several years for me, for sure. Except maybe The Last Jedi was pretty anticipated too, because I love The Force Awakens so much. So Harry said Battlestar Galactica. If you haven't watched the BD series, you need to watch that. Okay, I'll get on that, yeah. I've never watched Battlestar Galactica. The only time I've really heard much about it is in The Office when Dwight talks about how great it is. Dwight always talked about how he loved Battlestar Galactica, which is always interesting. But The Office is another one. I love to do a video on The Office, but what's interesting is if you go on YouTube and look at like the amount of clips on The Office, it seems like NBC is pretty strict about what they allow on YouTube. So I'm worried about, I'm not worried about my videos being fair use. The video essays are fair use. In my opinion, they are absolutely fair use. If you look at the law, it's commentary, criticism, education, it's all those things, right? And I'm only taking small snippets of the movie. But I have a feeling if I did one on The Office, which I would love to do, I have a feeling that one would get claimed. So not necessarily about, I have a feeling it might strike me. So we could try. I'd love to do one on The Office, but I'm a little worried about that, to be honest. I have no understanding of whether NBC does that stuff, but if you just look at the amount of clips of The Office on YouTube, it's not much, and it's not individual creators that have been monetized by someone else. It's like all NBC, and like they seem to be pretty strict about what The Office posts on YouTube. So I don't know. We'll kind of see how that goes. But yeah, I'll watch. I know I strayed from Battlestar Galactica. I went from Battlestar Galactica to The Office. So that was a weird transition, I know. Sorry about that, Harry. And I appreciate, I'll message you about it, but yeah. So yeah, if you guys have any final question, let me know. But other than that, we're at 58 minutes. I usually try to run these for about an hour. So any last final question, let me know. We will kind of wrap things up here. So it's always fun. I like hanging out with you guys. It's always fun answering questions and just talking about stuff. But yeah, most anticipated movie of the year is probably Infinity War, and that's coming up pretty soon. A lot of people would say Deadpool. A lot of people would say Solo. The Oscar movies, I get more up to date with those as the year progresses. Like, I'm not, like, most of the time Oscar movies, like, or potential dramas that are coming out during Oscar season, they don't get a ton of buzz. They don't get a ton of build up. They just kind of release and then build buzz, right? Or at least, like, show at a Sundance festival or some kind of film festival and then build buzz. So it's hard to say, like, those are one of my most anticipated, because I don't really know necessarily which ones are coming. Like, I just know that, when movies start being released, then I start hearing about buzz, and then I look at trailers, and then I kind of go from there. But it's Infinity War. It would be Infinity War anyway, probably. I'm really excited for Thanos. Really excited to see all those characters, function on the same screen at the same time together. Really going to be interesting to see how they try and pull that off. It's gonna be crazy. So okay, if you guys have one last final question, I'll take one or two more if you guys have any more. But if not, we're at an hour anyway. So if you guys are out of questions, then that's totally fine. We can wrap things up, because it's almost 9 o'clock here, so I totally understand. So it's all good. But either way, I appreciate, as always, you guys hanging out. Like I said, be on the lookout. Let me check the Oscars date. Let's see. March 4th at 5 p.m. PST. So that's 8 p.m. my time. I live in the Eastern time zone. Harry said review Sicario. Dude, I would love to review Sicario. Maybe I should make a video essay about Sicario. Or I would love to make a video essay about Prisoners, Sicario, or Arrival. One of those three, or all those three. I love Denis Villeneuve, dude. He's my favorite director right now. I didn't love Blade Runner 2049, but it's not my movie. I don't love Blade Runner movies. I didn't like the first one really either. It's interesting you bring that up, Harry, because like I didn't even know Sicario 2 existed before that trailer dropped, right? I didn't know they were filming it. I didn't know it was being created. But the interesting thing is that Denis Villeneuve is not directing this one. And when I watched the trailer, I was like, why? Why make this movie? Like, I love Sicario. The original Sicario is amazing, but I don't see why you needed a sequel necessarily. It didn't make sense to me. Yeah, I don't know. And then also because they review Silent Hill Revelation, I'm gonna have to because Austin's a patron, so he did that. He probably did that on purpose because he knows that he did the one where he can directly request a film, which is the $6 a month one, and he did that because he wants me to review Silent Hill Revelation. He's gonna make me do it, so that'll be interesting. But Dunkirk would be another one I could do a video essay on, like Ethan mentioned. That's another great idea. Dunkirk, dude. Dunkirk would probably be about how it's an excellent exception to how you don't necessarily need great characters for a film to succeed, because generally you do. Generally you do need great characters for a film to reach great heights. But Dunkirk you don't, because you don't really know anything about the characters. Not much. So Dunkirk is the exception to the rule, and it does it because Nolan is a genius. That's how it does it. And the people his crew is exceptional. So, but yeah, so before Sicario 2 comes out, so Dunkirk. Okay, all right, guys. So that's pretty much does it, I think, for tonight. So I appreciate you guys hanging out. Look for so it says March 4th. That's like that's Saturday, right? Let me check. Saturday. So I'll be doing a live stream on Saturday of the Oscars live. I'm gonna do a live stream with my review predictions, maybe Friday sometime. And then I'll do a live stream of Jack and Jill by Adam Sandler. I'm not doing. If I have to do it, I will, but otherwise I won't. Yeah, I'm gonna do a live stream of the Oscars. Like I said, if you guys want to hang out on Oscar night, then feel free. I'm gonna have probably another Sprite here. Sprite's not paying me anything. They're probably gonna claim this video after this. Yeah, but honestly, yeah, I'm looking forward to the Oscars for sure. Even though, like, we'll kind of see how it goes. I don't necessarily love... People differ with me on this. There's a lot of important topics that are talked about at the Oscars, very political stuff, very important social issues. But for me, I just kind of like honoring the actors and directors and production crews and the filmmakers and all them. I like that. It's about that. That's what I kind of am there for. So I don't necessarily like when it gets too political and too social. So that's just my thing. We'll kind of see how that goes, but it should be fine. I'll let people differ with me on that. It's totally fine to have a different opinion on that. Just, that's how I come down on it. So, but either way, thank you guys for hanging out. So Saturday, I'll probably be back Friday for a live stream. I'll have a video probably out tomorrow. But Saturday for the Oscars, like I said, I'll post on Twitter about it. And for the live stream for sure, because I'll be back. I'll probably start like maybe 7 or something, or maybe 7:30 before the Oscars start, and then we'll kind of go from there. So it should be interesting for sure. So I look forward to hanging out with you guys, and as always, thanks for hanging out tonight, and I'll see you next time.